Thomas here and welcome back to another video. So today we're back here for another Sims 4 speed build collab, and today we're going to go ahead and do this build battle with Simlicy. So if you don't know who Simlicy is, then well, you probably have been living under a rock because she does some amazing Sims 4 speed builds here on YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed to her already, make sure you go ahead and do that. We have actually collabed before. Last year we did like a 50-50 collab where Dawn went ahead and built like the first half of the build and I went ahead and did the second half of the build, which was actually really challenging because you've got to kind of like, see what the style of the person did on the first half and you've got to kind of implement that to the second half. And today, like I said, we are doing a build battle. So if you don't know what this is, it's where you kind of find like a house plan or just like a picture of a house or something like that, and then both people have to kind of replicate it and see who replicated it better. And there's also a website which I'll link down below to the actual house where it's kind of got the floor plan on it, and it's also got like a sort of like a 360 model of the home, which I didn't actually notice at first until a little bit later, and then I realized, oh, this is probably going to be really helpful because from the pictures you couldn't really see like how the window placement was in the back of the house, so it did make it a little bit easier to do this. But honestly, overall this was very, very challenging, and I was talking to Dawn about this because I don't know what it was, but actually, to be honest, I find a lot of these type of homes quite challenging to do, and I think it's just because they don't always look as good as like a regular house build that you may do, because the aim of the challenge is to replicate it like as best as you can, and some of these houses are kind of simple in areas, and when you kind of do that on the Sims, sometimes it can not look that great and it's a little bit bare and it just doesn't look all that good. So that was the case here in some areas, like from the front of the house. If I was doing this on my own, there would be a lot more things I could do with it, but I wanted to try and keep it as close to the pictures and the floor plan as I could, so it is a lot more simple, this build, in terms of both the exterior and also the interior. So if this is the first video you're watching of mine today, then don't worry, my other speed builds are a bit better than this, I would say. But it was a fun challenge overall, and trying to kind of do something that you wouldn't always do, because a lot of the parts of this build had styles that I wouldn't normally do my builds. In some areas it was similar, but also it was different in some areas as well. So just before we get into talking more about the build, if you're new today and you don't know who I am, my name is Thomas and my channel here is called Thomas TV, where I do a range of different Sims 4 speed builds mainly. So on Sundays I do a like mansion build. I've been doing that for nearly a year now, well actually over a year, doing like a 50x50 or like a 64x64 every Sunday, and I also upload on Wednesdays and Fridays as well. And I do a few bonus videos here and there. So other than speed builds, that's kind of the main thing I do, but I do other build challenges and things like that as well here and there. So if you haven't subscribed already, then feel free to do that. And yeah, so although this build was kind of challenging to do, I think it only took me just over an hour to do this full thing. Now that doesn't take into account that I did actually try to do this build like I first attempted it as well. So I was doing like the floor plan and stuff first, and then I kind of realized that it just wasn't really lining up that well to the pictures, so I just scrapped it and started again. So not including that, this part of the build here, like the second attempt, took me about an hour, just over an hour. I think it was a little bit quicker as well because I'd already like done parts of it in the first attempt, so it made it a little bit quicker. It made the process a little bit easier, but it still was very challenging. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but this is up in the gallery as well. My origin ID is Real Thomas TV1, and I will also go ahead and put a link in the description to the online gallery if you find it easier to download things that way. Now as you're watching this, I will be on vacation, so I don't know if this will already be up on the gallery or it'll be going up like a week after this video goes up. I don't really know about that, but I will kind of leave like a little note in the description about that when I decide what I'm going to do, because I am pre-recording at the minute, so I'm not, I just don't know what I'm going to do. I might have to take like my tray files with me on my laptop and then upload them from there. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, so just have to stay tuned for that. But if there is a delay, then I'm really sorry about that, but it will be up as soon as I can get it up. So now we're on the interior of the build. We're just starting off down here in the study room, and also just another note is that there wasn't really like a backyard area in this build. There was like a deck at the back. If you're looking on the floor plans on the website I've linked below, if you look at that, you may see like a little sort of deck area. It says optional deck on it. I went ahead and put that in, but there wasn't really any pictures of like a lawn or like a pool or anything like that. Now I thought, since this is The Sims after all, and like I was saying earlier, some things that you may replicate from a build and put it into The Sims may not look all that great without having to add a few more things to it, so I did go ahead and add a backyard area in. Now that wasn't in the floor plan, so I'm not too sure what Dawn is going to be doing with that, but that's what I did there. And also another thing as well, if you are looking on the floor plan, you may see like where the staircase is, you may also see another kind of staircase where it says like going down. 1. Now, that I presume that means a basement, and I did talk to Dawn about this because we're both kind of weren't sure about it, and we decided that we weren't going to put a basement in because there isn't a picture of it, so it would just be kind of doing their own thing with it anyway. And Dawn thought it wasn't L-shaped stairs, which I thought as well. But when I was looking at the 360 virtual tour of the build, I looked at the back, and like on the foundation at the back there were these little windows, so I think that would have actually been a basement. But like I said, there wasn't actually a picture of the basement, so it wouldn't really made a difference anyway, because you can't really compare them that well since there wasn't anything to kind of follow it. So now we're just working on like the living room area and like the kitchen and dining room. It's all kind of all open plan, which I do like to do a lot of my houses anyway. Now the dining room is very cramped. Now I'm not actually too sure, now I haven't play tested this build yet since I am pre-recording and haven't had time, but I don't know if those chairs at the back of the dining table, like closer to the window, I don't know if it was actually functional or not, because it is like a very cramped space. But I could have made it bigger, but it would have meant that I had to go away from the floor plan, which I didn't want to do, and I would have to make like the build like an extra tile longer, like wide, I guess. So I didn't want to have to do that, because then, you know, it'll be harder to compare our builds. So I just went ahead and did how it was. But you know, if you do go ahead and download this build from the gallery, feel free to go ahead and make as many changes to the build as you want, or, you know, kind of add some more rooms in, whatever you want to do. So in terms of rooms and like bedrooms in this build, the kind of floor plan had like a sort of like a layout of how the bedrooms were arranged, like in terms of where like the dresser was and also the bed. Now I'm not too sure if Dawn is going to follow that. I decided to, but it kind of, I sort of regret doing that, because I feel like it made the bedrooms a little bit more simple, which isn't such a bad thing, because I know people kind of prefer to play more simple houses. Just another note if you're new, in my speed builds, I don't really tend to do a lot of personalised rooms, such as like kids' rooms, and I don't clutter my builds that much either, and that's just from like my personal experience of playing. Like, I'm one of those players that likes, you know, the house to be very simple, it's easy to kind of look around, and when you have the walls cut away, you don't see like the back of paintings and random floating clutter and stuff like that. So I feel like that's why I tend to do that a lot in my speed builds itself. I know that kind of sounds very boring, but I do try to make them, you know, as good as I can. So this right here is the master bedroom. Now, where you see those little two columns going to like another part of the room there, on the floor plan that said WIC, and I thought like the I was a slash, so I thought I meant like, you know, WC, like a wash closet toilet thing, and then it also has an ensuite, and I was so confused why the master bedroom needs 2 bathrooms, but then I kind of paid a little bit more attention to the floor plan and realised it's actually a walk-in closet, so I went ahead and did that there. And in terms of what packs I used today, I didn't actually use too many. If you're a regular viewer of my channel, then you know that I do have a tendency to kind of go kind of crazy on the packs sometimes, and I just don't really tend to restrict myself that much unless I'm doing like an actual restricted pack build or base game build, which I do quite often actually. And I do have another one coming up, I think in a couple of days from when this goes up, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, so I do have a tendency to kind of use a lot of packs in my builds, and what I've actually started doing recently is, say if I use like 1 or 2 items from a pack, like I always have a tendency to use from Get to Work, I have a tendency to use one of these like really, it's like a really thin plant from that pack, I don't know if you know which one I'm talking about, and also some of those like coffee tables that are under like the miscellaneous surfaces category. So from that pack I really only use like those 2 items, which means that if you don't have that pack and you see it being used on the gallery and on my build, you may think, oh, I can't download this build anymore because I don't have this pack. So things like that, where I only use like 1 or 2 items, which really is not going to have to make me change a lot of the things I wanted to do, it just makes it easier for you to download. So I've been paying attention to that a lot more recently. But this build in general, I didn't really use that many packs, just because it was a lot simpler in terms of how it was just built and also furnished, because I was actually trying to follow a floor plan the best I could. And yeah, so another thing that I don't know how, well, I actually haven't seen Dawn's build yet, so I'm not too sure if she did this as well, but I know for a fact that I did do the roofing slightly wrong. So it's this particular room here, and the roofing kind of slopes down from like the sides of this room here. So it's really hard to explain. So imagine where those 2 windows are right there. Imagine the room being as narrow as those 2 windows, and then the roofing kind of comes down the side of those 2 windows. It's really hard to explain, but if you look at the floor plan and the picture, you may be able to see what I'm talking about. But when I was doing the build, I don't know why, but I just couldn't figure that out for some reason. Like, my brain just was not working as I was doing the roofing. So I did make a mess up there, but hopefully you don't mind. And yeah, so we're pretty much finished with the interior there. We're just kind of doing some more finishing touches with the exterior. I've kind of got the landscaping in there at the front, and I know it looks very, very basic, but again, that it's just to try and replicate it as best as I could for the floor plan and pictures. I was trying to add a sized up car there, even though that wasn't in the picture, but with the new 1000 debug items, you know how I got some new cars with that, I was having a little bit of trouble with that terrain edit I did, making the slope go up to the driveway, and the car wouldn't really kind of sit nicely there, so I just had to go ahead and leave that out, but it wasn't in the picture anyway. But there is one of those new cars in the garage itself actually as well. So I'm just adding a little bit more landscaping than there was in the picture, because I felt like, you know, there is that little bit there next to the stairs where I did do actually from the picture, but I was like, okay, this is just way too basic. I can't just do this amount of landscaping. I had to do a little bit more, so I did go ahead and do that. And then I also did a little bit in the backyard area. Like I was saying earlier, I did go ahead and add in a backyard area that I didn't actually see on the floor plan, so I wasn't too sure how to replicate that, but I thought it'd be a bit too bare if I didn't add one in, so I did go ahead and add like a little pool area. I think I added a barbecue area in and a few other things as well, so I just thought that would make it a little bit more playable, I guess, and more enjoyable to play in for your Sims, so I did go ahead and do that, and also the decking area there as well. Now, you may have seen this in the pictures on the website or in the actual thumbnail itself, but you may have noticed how, like, you know, everything on the exterior is kind of cream, so it's got like cream windows, it's got cream sort of siding as well, and then the kind of fence on the porches and the decking at the back are orange. Now, I saw that on the picture and I kind of thought it was kind of interesting, it looked nice, but when you go to do that in The Sims, it just did not really look right. So I know it looks really odd, and if that bugs you, then feel free when you download this, if you do, to change that to the actual colour swatch it should be, which is like a, you know, more creamy colour I think would look good there. But since that was in the picture, even though it looks so odd, I just went ahead and put it in anyway. But I know it looks kind of weird, but it's just to try and follow the floor plan as best I could. I don't blame Dawn if she doesn't go ahead and puts the orange in, because it does look a little bit weird, but like I said, I just wanted to try and replicate it as much as I could, even though it may not look the best, and it looks, you know, a little bit simple from the front of the build anyway, so it may not look that good on the gallery, because I know you can see nice pictures in the gallery, but, you know, I just try to do my best. But anyway, so on to the screenshots now. I really hope you enjoyed. In the comment section down below, let me know about what you thought of my replication of this build today, and also make sure you go ahead and check out Dawn's channel for her other amazing speed builds, along with her attempt of this build battle, and let us know which replication of the build did you think was better. And yeah, so thanks for watching. Once again, if you're new here today, then welcome. Make sure you subscribe to stay tuned for my other speed builds. And once again, you can go ahead and download this from the gallery. My origin ID is RealThomasTV1, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!